So according to this article, Fortnite was never meant to have collabs. The Russo brothers worked on the Chapter 2 Season 6 event, and according to this article, are responsible for the Thanos integration. And also, the fact that collabs are even a thing in Fortnite. Yeah, let's get into that one. And if you do enjoy content like this, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 100k, so hit that subscribe button. Joe and Anthony Russo spent 5.5 hours on a phone call trying to convince Epic Games to allow Thanos into Fortnite. And of course, guys, that was a massive collaboration, which really took Fortnite to the next level. The Russo brothers directed Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, and they were eager to see the movie's main villain, Thanos, invade Fortnite in 2018. However, initially, Epic's chief creative officer, Donald Mustard, who now works for the Russo brothers and their production company, AGBO, was resistant to the idea. It was Joe and Anthony Russo who got together with Donald and convinced him to put those types of characters inside Fortnite, revealed it AGBO's president of interactive technology, Pete Ronner. Doesn't even come from any of the sources that are actually being talked about, so take that with a grain of salt, because simply I'm annoyed how this leads to the whole Donald Mustard Fortnite was so much better without the metaverse and collabs, even though I'm about to tell you he at least wanted both things in, or at least overly supportive of it. To add another point, ideas can evolve and change over time to something different. So Donald could have been like, you know what, collabs are okay now. So could have changed his mind. Anyway, let's get into the video. Originally, it was like, no, we are not interested in putting outside characters into Fortnite, and Joe and Anthony got together and had a phone call with Donald. It was supposed to be a half-an-hour phone call, but 5.5 hours later, they were still talking about it. And Donald basically changed his mind and said, hey, you know what? We're going to do this. And after all that, the world exploded about what kind of integrations you could have between a film, TV, and games. Okay, people can change their minds, but let's cast your minds back to the Big Bang, and when Donald said this. I feel like this is the first time we kind of draw this crazy idea. The idea to involve Fortnite into a place where you could have all sorts of different agency-driven game and entertainment experience, with your friends, all connected by a hub, your locker, cosmetics, progression, etc. It's such a huge, audacious vision, we knew it would take years, and so much work on so many fronts. We can't believe how close we were. He then goes on to add, and with all that, I just think Spider-Gwen on the vocals, Snake Eyes on the drums, and Peely on the guitar is just about the best thing ever. And we created a place where you can make that happen. I agree, at this point there's no way of knowing if back in 2018 he was against collabs in general, but definitely here, at the end of Big Bang, the best thing ever. Nearly the best thing ever. Although a point to make here, he did use the Thanos meme when he said this, which is kind of ironic what we're talking about here. Also, Donald probably put it in there intentionally because Thanos was the first. He was the singularity. And just to hang off that point, keep watching the video because I'm going to talk about Donald Mustard and his tweets more, and this whole thing about him hating collabs is just plain stupid. But it doesn't stop there. When Donald left Epic, he also did an interview, which is a famous one, where he didn't like resources from the events team go into the metaverse. That doesn't scream he hates the metaverse, he just wasn't agreeing with how Epic were going about it. But this is how Mustard retells the story, and this is through an interviewee as well, so you got to remember that are they shorthand in the conversations or not. Joe and Anthony Russo, directors of Marvel movies, including Avengers Infinity War, were also Fortnite fans and connected with Mustard to get Thanos into the game to help promote the movie, striking up an endearing relationship. Mustard always wanted Fortnite's island to be a meeting spot for different kind of characters. He then adds, so basically the creation of the metaverse was a shared reality where you could just go and create and be in a multiverse of possibilities. He cooked up something called the 0 Point, an intersection of realities where characters of different archetypes would converge. I didn't dare dream I could one day do it with intellectual property, but in no way he ever says that he was completely against collabs. This almost says he didn't expect collabs, and I feel like if they did come, he would have eventually have done it. There's a possibility that this was just too early. Anyway, Donald said this in 2021, showing you for stuff like Boba Fett, Radiohead, Naruto, etc. is really fun. Making the stuff often the years it takes is the hardest, most awesome thing ever. What we are making now today is just incredible. Some of it you see very soon, some of it not for years. And referring to the thing I said earlier in the video about this whole thing is stupid about Donald Mustard not liking collabs, but if you write in the comments, no, Donald Mustard hated the metaverse, he hated collabs because of this, you are forgetting some of the most pinnacle tweets in Fortnite history. He would often tweet out things and hide things in the background constantly. Constantly they would come true. He had Batman in the background, Wonder Woman, Superman, Snake Eyes, Dune. he would tweet this and tweet this out, and then the collabs would come into game. He was creative officer. He has the responsibility of Fortnite's creative direction. So basically, every time one of these stories come out, I'm always like, do you believe Donald Mustard didn't do his job? Because that's essentially what you're saying. Creatively, collabs in Fortnite is a massive decision. So if he was against it in 2018, he should have gone to CEO of Epic and gone, this is me, I'm done, here's my resignation. Like, Donald Mustard wasn't chief creative storyline teller of the Fortnite storyline. Yes, that was part of his remit, and it's also probably Charlie Wen's, but they both have a wider scope to be looking at than just a storyline. And I guess that's another thing that these Charlie Wen haters and these Donald Mustard lovers will use to say that Charlie Wen's Fortnite is a lesser version of Donald Mustard's. I mean, Donald Mustard did a great job, and if you look at both in their careers, you would have to rate Donald Mustard's over Charlie Wen, but Charlie Wen hasn't done a terrible job. Chapter 5 and definitely Chapter 6 vision, theme, look is incredible. Look, I'm not entirely sure what the full job description of Charlie Wen or Donald Mustard was. Is when Donald Mustard was at Epic Games acquired Harmonix and Psyonix, which they did both use for their metaverse, while Donald Mustard was the chief creative officer of Epic Games, so that would have probably been in his job description to overlook both companies. Maybe not, maybe yes, but creatively they're part of Epic Games, and they would then be used as metaverse collabs. So basically, all these Donald Mustard lovers seem to forget his actual job when you're talking about Donald Mustard. Like, if I was chief creative officer of Epic Games, not saying I am, but I feel like I would be all over the vision of the metaverse and the vision of these acquisitions from Epic Games to bring them in to Fortnite, and of course their own games entirely, because it's Epic Games. If you own these companies, you would also want to make sure their games creatively are okay. And as a chief officer, you would hopefully get teams in to be able to overlook a overall company vision or a company line. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. When people say something, it's like you are almost dismissing Donald Mustard's responsibility as CCO of Epic Games at that point. It's like, well, that wasn't him, that was Tim. Or that wasn't him, that was this. Then leave. He should have left well before the point he left. The buck stops with Donald. Like, yes, there's people above him, I get it. But if you don't think your vision is coming purely across, which by his tweets and by all his years in Fortnite, that is just not the case. He loved collabs. Donald Mustard loved collabs. He worked on Fortnite X Batman comic. He is credited creatively. That was his vision. And then he allowed the team to do it. Like, yes, there was a few time constraints, but then again, that would be Donald's issue as his name is accredited with that comic. I'm not trying to diss Donald here and praise Charlie Wen, but I would hope even majority of people and even Donald himself would say what Charlie Wen has put across here and his team and everyone else at Epic Games. It's been a good run since Donald Mustard has left Epic Games. Like, I don't think Donald's sitting there hoping for the failure of Fortnite. And with all respect to Donald, let's not forget the mech, the Infinity Blade, which he took from his own game, by the way, and an array of other things. Like, if you're saying, oh, Charlie Wen's tenure has been terrible because of weapons or something, or this and that, and creatively, when they went with the direction of Bullet Drop, not many people like that. I actually liked it. I actually thought it was kind of cool. It is what it is. Didn't work. Creatively, they would have to take that on the chin and say that as a failure of the chapter, but they stuck with it. It is what it is. They moved on. They come back stronger. And Chapter 6, Season 1, Season 2, and Season 3 have been pretty good. Mini-season, maybe not so, but they did a really good event. A really solid event. The look of this island, Haranoshima, the whole Japanese mythology, what they brought in Season 2, it is such a good vision. And even Chapter 5, we look back at Chapter 5, some of the decisions may have not came off too well, but they was definitely looking and going in the right direction. And at the moment, it's solid. But saying Donald Mustard didn't want collabs is stretching the imagination, in my opinion. That's just not true. But what I'm saying is Donald didn't always get things right. Anyway, talking about the vision of Fortnite, while I'm recording this, Fortnite has announced a new metaverse game mode, which may bring a big sigh to majority watching this video, but Lego Expeditions will be coming out soon. We see what that game mode will have in store. So yeah, Donald didn't hate collabs, guys. But guys, if you did enjoy this one, leave a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Until next time, it has been your boy, Mr. Chairwise. Next time, bye-bye.